Lynette's mother, Darlene, is still waiting. No body, no arrest, and the man federal investigators have their eyes on is sitting somewhere in America right now, completely free. But the evidence the U.S. Coast Guard just pulled from the Bahamas is about to change that. Stay with me. Stay right where you are. Before you scroll past this, you need to understand that the Lynette Hooker case just changed completely. Not in a small way, in a way that pulls the entire foundation out from under everything Brian Hooker has told law enforcement since the night his wife disappeared. A case that had been moving slowly just cracked wide open, and the people now driving this investigation are not local police. They are federal agents, and they are building something. The U.S. Coast Guard has taken possession of a set of evidence bags transferred directly from the Bahamas. What those bags contained has put investigators on high alert and shifted the entire direction of this case. At the same moment those bags were being processed, a neighbor came forward. Jordan Plants, who lived directly across from the Hooker home, walked into a conversation with the FBI and did not hold back. According to what she told investigators, Brian was volatile in ways the public never saw, verbally, physically. She described Lynette as someone who needed to get out of that house just to breathe, someone who would disappear for stretches of time and eventually return. That pattern, according to Plants, was not occasional. It was the rhythm of their life together. The FBI is now moving through the Hookers neighborhood, collecting archived footage from Amazon Ring cameras belonging to neighbors. They are looking for documented evidence of those altercations before the couple ever set foot on a boat. If you have been following this case since the beginning and you are not subscribed to Forensic Files Daily, you are going to miss what comes next, and this one matters. Now let's go to the evidence. The bags currently secured inside U.S. Coast Guard custody are generating serious concern for Brian Hooker's legal position, and the reason connects directly to the story he has told from the beginning. For weeks, Brian maintained that his wife fell from their 8-foot dinghy into the ocean at night. He said the boat keys went into the water with her. He said he rowed for 8 hours in total darkness before reaching shore. That was his account. When federal investigators took possession of that specific dinghy from a secure Bahamian warehouse, they found that a backup outboard engine, documented as part of the boat's standard inventory, was gone. Investigators are operating under the working theory that this engine was deliberately used as a deep-water weight, dropped to keep something submerged and unrecoverable. That theory does not exist in isolation. Before this trip, Brian Hooker was terminated from his position at AT&T. The reason? He had engineered a system to conceal the GPS tracking device on his company vehicle. He understood how location data worked and how to manipulate it, but out on the water, that knowledge did not protect him. Investigators recovered GPS data from his electronic devices, and that data places him deep inside the mangrove lines of Elbow Cay. At the same time, he claimed he was drifting helplessly at sea with no way to reach shore. The FBI is now working door to door through his neighborhood, pulling every piece of security camera footage they can access, building a documented record of Brian's behavior in the days before they left for the Bahamas. The pressure on his account is coming from multiple directions at once. One of those directions is the water itself. Multiple residents near the Hopetown anchorage reported hearing a heavy, violent splash at approximately 9:30 in the evening on the night Lynette vanished. Brian's version of events described a quiet, accidental slip beneath calm water. The witness accounts described something different. They heard the splash, and then they watched as emergency flares cut through the dark. But the angle of those flares is the detail that has investigators paying close attention. Standard distress protocol calls for flares fired straight up into the sky. These flares, according to witnesses, were fired horizontally across the surface of the water. Low, as if whoever launched them was scanning the surrounding area, not calling for help. Brian had no way of knowing the yacht's automated tracking system was recording his movements in real time. Federal investigators have since mapped that data, and it shows him actively navigating the vessel through shallow areas rather than sitting motionless on a drifting boat in crisis. This case is no longer classified as a missing person investigation. Federal authorities have officially upgraded it to a suspected murder on the high seas. Lynette's remains have not been recovered, and the search teams and sonar drones deployed in the area have not changed that. But the absence of a body is not the obstacle it once was in federal homicide prosecutions. The FBI has obtained convictions in cases with no physical remains before, and the framework here is being built around what cannot be accounted for. Every piece of survival equipment Brian claimed drifted away from the scene has vanished without a trace, which investigators view as evidence of deliberate scene cleanup rather than accident. The testimony from Jordan Plants is the piece that reframes everything else. She watched this marriage up close for years. On YouTube and social media, Brian constructed a specific image, a loving partnership, an adventurous life on the water. Plants told federal agents that the reality behind that image was a 25-year cycle of severe domestic violence, verbal abuse, physical abuse, Lynette leaving for months at a time and staying with her mother in Florida when conditions at home became dangerous. Always returning. The trip to the Bahamas, according to what investigators are now piecing together, was not a romantic escape. It was another attempt to manage a domestic situation that had reached a breaking point. After Lynette disappeared, Brian departed the Bahamas quickly. His stated reason was that his mother had become gravely ill and needed him. The FBI reached out to Lynette's mother, Darlene, who confirmed that this was not true. Brian's mother was not ill. The timeline and the stated reason do not hold up, and investigators believe the departure was a calculated move to leave the island before authorities could secure the border and restrict his travel documents. At this moment, Brian Hooker is not in custody. He is somewhere in the United States, not responding to Lynette's family, while federal agents extract digital evidence from the security networks surrounding his former home. What is your read on the GPS data placing him at the mangrove lines? Drop your take in the comments because this community has caught details before that ended up mattering. Like this video if you are staying with this case, and make sure you are subscribed because when the next development breaks on this, it will move fast. Thank you for being here. I will see you in the next one. One question before you leave. The flares fired horizontally across the water. Innocent mistake or deliberate sweep of the area? Tell me what you think below.